Now, I'd have normally gone with only child, but, you see, by the way you ignored the quip about your parents, I'm gonna have to go with orphan.
By the cut of your suit, you went to Oxford or wherever. Naturally think human beings dress like that. But you wear it with such disdain. My guess is you didn't come from money, and your school friends never let you forget it. Which means you were at that school by the grace of someone else's charity, hence the chip on your shoulder. And since your first thought about me ran to orphan, that's what I'd say you are. And that makes perfect sense. Since MI6 looks for maladjusted young men, I give little thought to sacrificing others in order to protect Queen and country.
In a previous video, I discussed how orphans are often abject figures. They live on the fringe of society and they feel like outsiders. Their position of being half in and half out of quote-unquote normal society means they are more likely to take roles that are unpopular, dangerous, and at least for the time being, necessary. An orphan girl with a broken background and no resources to draw from often has to turn to prostitution in order to survive. And an orphan boy who has been given no love and has been told that there is no future for him will sometimes turn to gang life as a way of seeking the respect he so desperately needs. Some governments and other agencies exploit these vulnerable children by employing them in undesirable institutions, such as the Russian military. We see our culture put orphans in these fringe positions, but again, it's glamorized. They're either super spies or assassins or comic book heroes or robot suit fighters or futuristic space marines. This is not accurate. It's usually just a convenient writing device which allows these characters to go off on their crazy adventures. But let's look at some characters who are actually plausible. In The Departed, Leonardo DiCaprio plays an orphan who decides to become an undercover cop. This is an extremely unpleasant but also very important job. You have to commit immoral acts in order to keep your cover, and you run the risk every day of being discovered and killed. And maybe the fact that Leo's character has lost his roots is the reason he accepts this heavy responsibility.
You don't have much family.
I don't have any family.
What's this I hear from Stephanie about you becoming a policeman?
When my mother dies, we don't have any more connection.
May her soul and the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen.
So what do I do?
Look at that. Hollywood made a good picture about an orphan and it won Best Picture. This also happened 15 years previously in Silence of the Lambs.
After your father's murder, you were orphaned. You were 10 years old. You went to live with cousins on a sheep and horse ranch in Montana. And?
I heard a strange noise.
What was it?
It was screaming.
And what did you see, Clarice? What did you see?
Lambs. They were screaming.
They were slaughtering the spring lambs?
They were screaming. I took one lamb and I ran away as fast as I could. I thought if I could save just one, but he was so heavy. He was so heavy. Rancher was so angry, he sent me to live at the Lutheran orphanage at Postman. I never saw Ranch again.
What became of your lamb, Clarice?
They killed him.
You still wake up sometimes, don't you? You wake up in the dark and hear the screaming of the lambs.
Yes.
And you think if you save poor Catherine, you can make them stop, don't you? You think if Catherine lives, you won't wake up in the dark ever again to that awful screaming of the lambs.
I don't know. I don't know.
Thank you, Clarice. Thank you.
This is what I've been talking about. Orphans who grow up in harsh conditions and make it have a unique advantage over other people because they know how to survive. They can go in these fringe positions and not be afraid. The stories of real orphans have the potential to be powerful resources for making well-rounded characters. We should start cutting the crap and tell stories that reflect the truth. In addition to using orphans as outsider characters, Hollywood also uses orphans to bring in outsider characters. by putting them in paternal or maternal roles. In the awesome movie Léon the Professional, an assassin teaches a young orphan girl how to take revenge, and he also becomes a complicated father figure.
The rifle is the first weapon you learn how to use, because it lets you keep your distance from the client. The closer you get to being a pro, the closer you can get to the client.
Who should I hit?
Whoever.
And Mad Max is definitely an edge character. Look, he has an eye scar. But in The Road Warrior, he becomes a father figure for the feral kid. And in Thunderdome, Mad Max becomes a patriarch of a whole bunch of kids. This is getting weird. In Aliens, Newt is an orphan, and Ripley becomes her mother figure. Oh, this movie's so good. Batman always seems to be less of a dick when he's playing daddy for the Robin of the Week. And in Shoot 'em Up, the cynical Smith kills about a bajillion people while he's carrying an orphan baby.
It doesn't surprise me that Oliver's into death metal. Look at his surrogate parents.
No, I'm telling you. This means... Go, back way.
But who's the edgiest character of them all?
¿Dónde vas?
Oh, excuse me. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is John Kimball.
Out of the way, nerd.
I'm gonna hang out with you until the end of time.
But things don't work out as John Kimball planned.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately. Who is my daddy, and what does he do? Are these all your lunches? You mean you eat other people's lunches? Stop it! I've got news for you. You are mine now. You belong to me. Mr. Kimball have to go to the bathroom. There is no bathroom.
What's the matter?
I have a headache.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor. Tumor, 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 tumor.
Have a look at that mug. He looks like the Green Goblin. Anyways, by the end of the movie, he's no longer a hardened cop, and we're led to understand that he will be Dominic's new father. Even though using orphans in comedies isn't giving the true side of their lives, it can be pretty funny.
This is a very big thing you're doing, Mr. Hoek. We have just the boy for you. He's only 7 years old and hasn't had much love. But I think you're just the man who can turn him around.
Come on, bring in the little nipper.
Kowalski is serving a 30-year prison sentence for crimes against humanity.
Daddy! I'm not your dad. I'm only your fake dad. And only for this weekend.
Be nice to the product of your loins.
My fake loins! Okay, Kowalski. What kind of sandwich do you want?
Meat!
And what kind of bread do you want?
Meat!
What's wrong with you now?
Thirsty! Want drink?
What would you like to drink, Kowalski?
Meat!
Get him a glass of meat. Will you, Stimpy?